What up, you fluffy bastards? My name is Liquid Blitz, and today I have some news for you. If you didn't already know, there are 4 new weapon variants currently usable in the community test environment. Not new weapons, but new variants of existing weapons. All 4 of these are new variants of the rank 10 weapon for each class: Assault, Medic, Support, and Scout. Now, before I ramble on for thousands of mortal years, first things first, let's list the new weapons in class order. First of all, for the Assault class, we have the Hellriegel Defense. That's a new variant completely. Second, for the Medic, we have the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper variant. Third, for the Support, we have the Huot Automatic Optical. And fourth, and this is probably going to be a point of contention for many people, we have the Martini-Henry Sniper for the Scout class. That is gonna split people's opinions, man. Now, before we get into sort of features and pros and cons, it's worth saying, as with anything on the community test environment, that these weapons, or their sort of features or whatever, or their stats, they may change before they're released to the public, of course. Nothing is certain! Also worth noting, seriously worth noting, is that each of these weapons has a seriously huge challenge to unlock it. If you thought that the sort of first DLC French weapons were lengthy and sort of difficult to unlock, you are gonna shit your pants with shock at the size of these challenges. First of all, right off the bat, each of them requires 300 kills with the original rank 10 weapon. And these are 300 new kills, so any kills you already have, I believe, don't count. On top of that, just to add insult to injury, there's a secondary challenge to get 25 kills with a certain piece of equipment. And those are, for the Hellriegel Defense, you need to get 25 kills with the AT mine. That's probably the most difficult to get kills with. Second, for the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper, you need 25 kills with rifle grenades, so either frag or HE rounds. Third, for the Huot Optical, you need 25 kills with the limpet charge. That should be pretty fun. And last but not least, and probably the easiest, to be honest, for the Martini-Henry Sniper, you need to get 25 kills with the bayonet charge. Anyway, now that you know what the weapons are and what you have to do to unlock them, as long as the challenge doesn't change once it's released to the public, if you see what I mean, a lot of people are complaining in the forums that 300 kills and 25 equipment kills is just too high. I mean, personally, I'm not that bothered because I like a good challenge, and it just gets you to play more anyway. So, now that you know all that, let's go into the sort of pros, cons, and general features of these new variants. Keep in mind that this is all done on my own research, and take a massive grain of salt with this, because I'm probably wrong with everything. Okay, first up, we have a new variant altogether, the Hellriegel Defense. Ooh. The main talking point about the Hellriegel Defense is that it has a bipod. Following the Ribby rule, this is the second assault weapon to have a bipod. So right off the bat, we know this isn't the sort of gun you want to use when you're running and gunning. As we all know, once you're stationary and you put the bipod down, your weapon becomes very accurate. The next pro and difference from the Hellriegel factory is that it has a large mag size, 120 rounds, double the normal mag size. I can only assume this is to complement the bipod, really. In my opinion, this is largely pointless. 60 seems like enough to me, even if it's used for, like, suppression. Keep in mind that the Hellriegel overheats like the LMGs, and the winter update, the recently passed winter update, made overheating take you out of aiming down sight. So in a way, you can think of overheating as essentially no different to a short reload, in that it's simply downtime where you're unable to shoot. So keeping overheating in mind, and the general fact that reloading with bullets left is always faster than reloading when you're empty, I don't really get why it needs 120 rounds in one mag size. 60 is fine. Simply adding the bipod would be enough in my opinion. But hey, you want to give me 60 extra bullets? Fine, it's all gravy. Also, do keep in mind that this isn't an LMG. The same goes for the Ribby roll. So both of these weapons don't get more accurate the longer you shoot like LMGs do. So, where burst firing is a bad thing with LMGs because you don't get the accuracy buff, the same doesn't apply to the Hellriegel Defense or the Ribby roll. My point is that with the bipod down, you don't have to worry about automatic versus burst firing. With the assault weapons, it's all good. Now, the one downside compared to the standard Hellriegel factory is that this weapon is less accurate than the factory when the bipod isn't down. That's the big trade-off. Obviously, much more accurate when the bipod is down, but worse accuracy for sort of running and gunning with. So a lot of people, in my opinion, are still going to choose the factory over the defense. I guess the defense will be a very good choice, I suppose, for suppressing choke points and when you're defending or sort of capping flags and objectives, same as any LMG, really. So, that's the first weapon done. Hellriegel Defense. Worse for sort of running and gunning, but as its name suggests, really, it's going to be a much better weapon to defend with. Let's move on to the second weapon, the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper. This is another game changer in my opinion. The 1906 Factory is, again in my opinion, an underrated weapon, but to be honest, more of that in my upcoming medic weapons video. Now, the only sniper variant in the medic class we have for sort of comparison of features is the Mondragon Sniper, which has a telescopic sight between 2.5 and 4 times zoom. So it's pretty safe to assume that the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper will have the same sight with a beam, cross, chevron, or post reticle. This definitely helps accuracy over sort of medium and long ranges because telescopic sights are always much clearer to see with, particularly below the crosshair, which is always covered up with iron sights. So far, all this variant is going to do is increase the effective range of the Selbstlader 1906, which can only be a good thing, really. Now, the next pro, and another big difference from the factory version, this weapon has a bipod, which again definitely looks like this is going to be a much more sort of favoured weapon at medium ranges than the standard factory version. I don't know that much about weapons in general, if I'm to be honest, but so far this sounds like the sort of weapon you would set up in a defensive position at quite a distance, although I suppose the same could be said with any weapon with a bipod. But honestly, I can just sort of imagine a real-world situation of like a squadron defending a bridge in some sort of Saving Private Ryan situation. This would be an ideal weapon to set up in a stationary position. It only has 5 rounds, but a fast rate of fire, plus a 3-shot kill minimum at any range to the body, sounds like this will be a very good defensive weapon to me. When compared to the factory version, I should add. Now, the next pro worth mentioning is that it should have a better base spread. Again, if the Mondragon Sniper is anything to go by, the Zelb 1906 Sniper will have a better stationary spread than its factory counterpart, but spread when moving is more questionable. Moving spread will most likely be the same or worse. Again, sort of reinforcing the idea that you should be stationary with this weapon. Now, let's look at the downside, the negative of the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper. It should have a worse recoil and spread recovery. Now, this is where things get a bit muddled, because the Selbstlader 1906 Factory doesn't have the typical strength of a factory weapon. Normally, factory means better than average recoil and spread recovery speed. So, better at tapping and sort of burst fire to allow the aim to recover after each shot or burst. But the Selbstlader 1906 Factory has the same recovery speed as most of the other variants in the medic class, Marksman, Optical, Storm, etc., which sort of raises the question, will the recoil and spread recovery be the same, i.e. average, for the Sniper variant, or will they be even worse than the current factory values? If you have faith in the variants being consistent, then the new Sniper version should have even worse values for the recoil and spread reduction, which means that they will become possibly the worst in the entire class. And that, in my opinion, solidifies even more the fact that you need to be stationary with this weapon. Because obviously, with the bipod down, the recoil and spread reduction are much, much better. So that's it for the Selbstlader 1906 Sniper. My conclusion is that it sounds like that you need to be pretty much stationary and still with this weapon at sort of medium to long range. Otherwise, the factory versions, it pretty much sounds like it's better in every situation. Anyway, moving on. Next, we have the Huot Automatical? The fuck's an automatical? Huot Automatic Optical. To determine the pros and cons of this compared to the current low-weight version, I'll compare the differences between the Lewis gun low-weight and optical. So number 1, we know for a fact that the Huot Automatic Optical... Why do I find it so hard to say that? Huot Automatic Optical. I still screwed it up. We know that it was going to have a lens sight between 1.25 and 2.5 times zoom, whereas, of course, the low-weight variants only have iron and AA sights. And the next pro, if the difference between the Lewis gun low-weight and optical is going to be consistent with the Huot low-weight and optical, then we know that the Huot Automatic Optical will have less horizontal recoil, but vertical recoil should be the same. Now, this is a little odd, because if you've seen the Huot stats on Synthic.com, which, by the way, is where I get all of my stats for my videos, Synthic.com is an awesome website. But if you've checked the Huot stats on Synthic.com, the horizontal recoil for the Huot low-weight are exceptional. They're the best in the class by far. There is practically no horizontal recoil to speak of, but optical variants naturally have even lower horizontal recoil than the low-weight variants. If this pattern holds true, then the Huot Optical should have even less sideways recoil. And if this is true, it's going to have practically no left and right recoil whatsoever, and you're only going to have to counter the vertical recoil. And that's just down to practice, and if you can counter the vertical recoil, this gun is going to be hella accurate. You are going to be hella accurate with this weapon, boy! Now, the next pro worth mentioning, and to be honest, a general pro of all optical weapons, it has less spread. In every circumstance, standing, crouching, prone, moving, or stationary, aimed base spread is always better across the board, so it's more accurate with its first few shots at long range. That being said, let's go to the negative. It's going to have a worse recoil and spread decrease compared to the low weight version. And that's because a good recoil and spread decrease is the main pro of the low weight variant. This means the optical isn't as accurate when burst and tap firing repeatedly, since the recoil and spread doesn't recover as good. So, in a way, the fact it has a better aimed base spread and has a worse recoil and spread reduction kind of cancel each other out. It means that tap firing slowly at longer ranges and firing fully automatic, the optical will be more accurate. But with tap firing and sort of burst firing quickly, it will be less accurate because it recovers from recoil and spread worse after each shot when you aren't firing fully automatic. Anyway, enough waffle, I don't even know what I just said. Anyway, before I move on, the second and last negative is that it has no bipod compared to its low-weight brother, so no more stationary shooting for this gun. Basically, my conclusion for the Huot automatic optical is it's going to be better for quite literally sniping with. But other than that, the low-weight variant should be better in all situations, really, to be honest. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Martini-Henry Sniper. Now this, as I said before, this is going to divide some serious opinion, man. You are either going to love this or hate this. Now, I have no stats on this, and there are numerous ways this can go down. We have a couple of weapons with both an infantry and a sniper variant to compare to one another, so that we can discern the pros and cons compared between the two variants. Did you see what I mean? Anyway, the weapons with both an infantry and sniper are the Gouveia 98, the Russian 1895, and the newly released Lebel model 1886. And the difference in the two variants for these three weapons are all different between the three weapons, so this gets really confusing. So I'll try and break it down nice and simple and slow. The Gouveia 98 stats are the exact same, except recoil and spread decrease is better for the infantry variant, and it should be. That's the strength of the infantry variant. But all other stats are the same. Now, the Russian 1895 is different. Like the Gouveia 98, the infantry still has better recoil and spread recovery, which it should, but with the Russian 1895, the recoil and hipfire spread is better with the sniper version than the infantry. And I'm talking much better recoil. And anyway, the third weapon with both an infantry and sniper variant, the Lebel 1886, which was just released, is a different story from the previous two weapons completely. For the Lebel 1886, both variants have the exact same stats, and I mean exact same stats, completely. Every single stat is the same. The only difference is the attachments, that the sniper has a scope, etc., but they both handle the exact same, which sort of makes no sense for variants between infantry and sniper. There should be a difference. It's a shame that these three weapons with infantry and sniper versions all differ from one another in terms of stats difference between the two variants. It makes it very hard to sort of guess how the Martini-Henry Sniper is going to differ from the infantry version. Like the Lebel 1886, it could differ in no way whatsoever. It could be the exact same. But like the Russian 1895, it could be very different. It might have much better hip fire. I mean, we really can't tell at the moment. Anyway, let's move on to what we do know and some speculation. One thing is certain, it will have a high magnification scope, probably between 5 and 10 times, like all the other sniper variants. Now the next pro, and I'm gonna have to put a big maybe in the front of this. It may have less recoil compared to the infantry version. It will either be the same or better. Now, considering that the Martini-Henry is a one-shot rifle, I'm guessing the recoil will actually probably be the same, because with only one shot, it doesn't really matter how much recoil it has, since you come out of the sight to sort of rechamber the next round anyway. Now, the second sort of certain pro is the fact that it has a bipod, unlike the infantry variant, so when you use it, it completely removes scope sway and makes you more accurate in general across the board. It seems that most of the new weapons being added these days have a bipod. The developers are loving the bipod. The next thing we know, we're going to have bipedal weapons that can walk on their own two legs. We're going to have some real-world Metal Gears happening here. Now, the next pro is another maybe. It might have less hip spread if the difference between this and the Martini-Henry infantry is the same difference between the Russian 1895 sniper and infantry. Who knows these days? Now, the next thing on the list is a con, a negative, but again, it's a maybe. It should have a slower recoil and spread decrease. As you know, infantry, factory, and low-weight weapons all recover from recoil and spread better than the other variants in their respective classes. So the Martini-Henry Sniper should should have worse recovery than the infantry version. The one exception to this rule so far is what I just mentioned above, the Lebel 1886 Infantry and Sniper. They have the same recovery stats, which is just weird, to be honest. You know what? It's almost like even the developers are going against the variant system. Which, by the way, I don't like the variant system. I like the sort of system where you're given a base weapon and you can customize and add certain parts. Like you can add a unique stock and sight and a barrel, etc. I prefer that because that's more realistic than just giving you variants. Unless, back in World War I, this is where my ignorance probably shows, unless in World War I they issued these rifles as variants. Do you see what I mean? In that case, then it makes sense. But even so, I prefer to customize my own weapon. Now, the next and last negative we have for today, for the Martini-Henry, is a big one. It's a big deal. It has a very low velocity, muzzle velocity, 440 meters per second. And in my opinion, this seriously diminishes the usefulness of the sniper variant. So yeah, it's no crime to point out that the Martini-Henry has an awful muzzle velocity, the worst of every single scout weapon, with the exception of the M1903 experimental, but that doesn't count. This means the bullet drops faster and earlier than any other sniper weapon, which sort of, as I've just said, sort of limits the usefulness and the point of having a sniper variant. If the velocity remains unchanged for this new sniper variant compared to the infantry variant, and it should do, there should be no difference in velocity between two variants, then this sniper variant will definitely be the closest range sniper in the whole class. That doesn't make it bad, not at all. It just means that you won't be long range like all the other snipers. I would advise you think of it more like a marksman variant. But in fact, I don't know why they didn't just make a marksman variant. With a velocity as bad as it is, this should be a marksman weapon, not sniper. Keep in mind that the Martini-Henry does one-shot kill damage to the upper body between 42 and 68 meters, which will be a very close range for a sniper variant. I mean, 42 and 68 meters with a sniper scope. Doesn't that seem a little odd to you? Personally, I don't know how to feel about that, but it could be that they change some of the core stats to make it better at a longer range than the infantry version. Probably not, the stats will probably be the same, but with the low velocity and sort of very low max damage range, which ends at 68 meters, it sounds, regardless of the bipod, that it will be pretty shit at long range. That being said, the infamous one-shot kill Martini-Henry with a sniper scope sounds like a scary beast, despite everything I've said, so it could be really fun to use. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. I'm sure this video's long enough. Let me know what you think of these new variants in the comments below, because I'm not sure what I think, to be honest. Like this video if you liked it, like this video if you didn't like it, and join me in my next video. My next video will be the next of my DLC weapon analysis videos, and it's going to be the medic weapon. I'm halfway through making the video, actually, so that's most definitely the next video. So, catch me then.